Everybody wants to be a winner.
Today's topic is on examination orientation for undergraduate students at Keystone. Now, what are examinations? Examinations are tests that are conducted on students to show their ability of their knowledge and ability of the subject. So a person who takes an examination is called a candidate, and a person who is administering an examination is called an examiner. Okay, so there are two persons, the candidate as well as the examiner in the examinations. Typically, there are three types of examinations. And the fourth type, of which is just a method, is the online examination type. Okay, we have the theory examination, the oral examination, and practical examinations, then the online examinations that can be undertaken. Now, the theory examination is one where a student is examining the theoretical aspects of the course. The oral examination is one where a student is subjected to an oral examination. The student is asked a question and is supposed to provide answers to the examination, to the examiners in person. Okay, so you have to be interviewed and you provide answers, and then your answers are graded. Then the third type of examination, the practical examination, where the student conducts the practical exercises that are important for the course you are taking. Okay, so rather than theory, you do the practical part where you can use your hands-on experience, or your practical part where, for example, in teaching, to be a teacher, you have to go and present before students the material which you want to give them. Okay, so you can also be examined. Then the fourth one are the online examinations. The online examinations are conducted on the internet. Currently, Keystone University, only the master's degree candidates make use of the online examinations. But generally, world over, examinations are moving in that direction. Okay. Next are the components of the course assessments. Usually these are given in the course outline and the study materials that are given to you at the beginning of the course. Okay, now at Keystone, assessments generally consists of the written assignments and the final exams. The written assignments cover the broad spectrum of the study units, which are presented in the study guides. Okay, so for example, the first assignment covers study units 1 to 4, and the second assignment covers study units 5 to 8. Okay, and these written assignments have to be submitted and assessed before you write the final written exams. Generally, these written assignments contribute 50% of the final mark. So for you to pass and go and write the final examination, you must pass at least with at least 50% of the marks that are assigned to the written assignments. Remember, the written assignments contribute 50% of the total marks for the course. The final examination also contributes 50% or half of the marks for the examinations of the examination in the course. Okay, now in the final exam, the final exams dates are usually published in the academic program for that academic year. Okay, so at the end of each semester, there are supposed to be exams, and you have to make sure you check the exam day for your course. Okay, they are usually published. Pay attention. Sometimes these are given on WhatsApp. They are also sent to you through your email, and they are also given as guidelines at various times of the year before you write the exams. Okay, so check for clashes and so on in the courses you are doing. Don't wait for the last minute to make those corrections. Now, what is contained in the final examinations? The final examinations usually cover all the work in the semester. Remember the work that is given in the study units, study unit 1 up to study unit 8. So all that material is covered in the final examinations. Okay, now you can only write the final examinations if you have met the criteria for the written examinations, which means you must write 2 assignments and you must get grades at least 50% of the marks allocated to the written assignments. Okay, now the final examination contributes again 50% of the final marks. So when you add the written assignments and the final examinations, each is 50-50, so the total is 100%. Are we together? Yeah. Now, where do the examinations questions come from? Students always ask that. Okay. Now, the questions in the examinations, just like in the assignments, come from the materials that have been provided to you in the course content. They are there in the study guide, so in the study module or the course module, okay? And the study guides contains the information that you have to follow to get those materials from the module, how to study the module. Okay, so the study guide indicates the prescribed reading materials, which you have to follow. Okay, now the prescribed reading materials is called the reader. So your study material will contain this reader, which is the prescribed material which you have to read. And how to read it, use the study guide. Okay, now all assignments and the exam questions are based on the study guide and the reader for that course. Okay, now each course contains 8 study units. Okay, now all examination questions are derived from those 8 study units in the course which you are given. Okay, now I think that is clear. Now, how do you prepare for these examinations? To prepare for the examinations, you must make sure that you have the materials that are required for the course you are sitting in. You must make sure you have the reader and the study guide. Then you should also read the recommended materials to widen the knowledge in the course you are given. That is important. Next, you need to plan. How do you study? Make a study timetable. Okay, so you must find time during the day, but each day, when you think you are free, and allocate time for all the courses which you are studying. Find the best time for whichever course and put it in a timetable and follow it. You need also to find a place where to study. There are different places where we feel comfortable when studying. Other people feel comfortable studying in the bed as they are sleeping or lying on the bed, they're reading. Others feel comfortable sitting on maybe the dining place, or you have a study room in your house or in the lounge. Other people can go to a cafe, or you can go to the library in the university, or sit outside somewhere where it's cool and fresh in a park and so on. But you can always find a place which should be suitable for you to study. The other recommendation that I make is that you must change the study style depending on the course. Not all courses have the same requirements. So vary the style of studying depending on the course. For example, if you're doing mathematics, you can study the mathematics the same way you can study a course maybe in health, or a course in economics, or a course in business, or a course in sociology. Maybe mathematics requires that you do a lot of exercises. Okay, so look at the kind of course you have and find the kind of style that gives you the greatest benefit to understand your course. If you find one doesn't help, try to change until you find the optimal type that you get the best results in studying, okay, in that course. The other recommendation I make is to work in groups. It's important to work in groups because you encourage one another. You can help one another to know where the information which you do not know, which may be missing. Some things you may not easily understand them, but maybe your friend understands them better. You have found a way to understand that information better. You can help one another. Okay, next is use your lecturers, the ones responsible for the course, because they're the ones who produce those course materials, and they're the ones who assess you. So they are there, they have experience to help you. Of course, it doesn't mean that you do nothing. In order to get something from them, read first, make an attempt to find solutions. If you find it difficult, then you can go to them and ask for help. Okay, so you can make use of them, but you must help yourself first. Then the other thing is you must find time to relax. Relaxing is very important. You can't continuously be reading, solving assignments, and so on. Relax, sleep, go for a dance, go to a disco, yeah, go out and chat with friends, walk in a park, and so on. It will help you refresh. Okay. Now, next is when you go to the examination room, there are instructions there. Examinations are always accompanied by instructions. These instructions include, for example, you must bring a positive identity with you, like a school identity card, maybe an NRC. You must also be able to remember your student identity number. because on the answer books, you don't put your name, you put your student identity number. Then in the examination room, there are certain materials which are not accepted and others which you can bring in the examination room. Those which are not accepted or restricted, for example, cell phones, do not bring them. Okay, big bags and books which may help you in the exam are not allowed, so don't bring them. Again, in the examination, you cannot communicate with anyone else, even your fellow students. If you want to communicate, you have to speak through the invigilator. For example, if you want to go to the bathroom or your pen has stopped, then you want help for a spare pen, you have to speak through the invigilator. So you cannot communicate. You cannot bring extra materials not required in the exam room. Then keep the time. There's time to start the examination and the time to stop. Make sure you are at the examination center at the time when you're supposed to start. And when they tell you start writing, that's only the time you can start writing. If they don't say if they don't say start writing, don't start. When they say stop writing, you stop. When they say stop writing, it doesn't mean you continue writing. You just have to stop. Put your pens down. Okay. Generally, again, is that in the Keystone University, undergraduate exam papers typically consist of 6 questions, and students are required to answer 5 questions. Read this. You are given 6 questions and candidates are asked to answer 5 questions. Now, each question will be allocated, for example, 20 marks. So if you add 5 times 20, it becomes 100. Read these instructions carefully. Some examinations may have a small variation of this. Maybe they have one compulsory question and the other 4 are optional. So read carefully. Are we together? These instructions. Again, a strong advice. Read the instructions on the answer book. Okay? That's one part of beating the exam. Okay? Now, when you look at the examination questions, you will find that every question has specific instructions and what the candidate should do to answer that question. There are words in those questions which are called task words. So check for these task words in every question that you are answering and know them. You have to know them before the exam so that when you see them in the exam, you know what it means. I don't say you start knowing them in the exam. You have to know them before the exam. So you start practicing right now before you start writing the final examinations. How to identify those task words. For example, if the question asks you to list, you simply have to list. You write short sentences and not descriptions. You can write descriptions, yes, but you won't get any extra marks for making descriptions because the question says list. Besides, you also lose time for the other questions. So these questions are weighed before they are written and given to you. There could be also questions which ask to use bullets or to number the facts which you are given. If it is bullets, you just have to answer using the bullet points. If they say number the facts, you must number them, the facts, because that's what the examiner is looking for. Are we together? Yeah. Now, there are a number of task words. We may not go through each one of them. Task words like analyze, compare, contrast, criticize, define, discuss, describe, list, outline, summarize. We can go through each one of them quickly. For example, when they say account for, it means give reasons for the topic which you are writing on. Analyze means you break it up into small parts, investigate, and then write about those parts. When they say compare, it means look for similarities between two things, show the relevance and consequences of those similarities. And then when they say contrast, to contrast is to identify the differences between two items or arguments. Then you have to critique or criticize. To criticize or to critique requires that you point out the mistakes or weaknesses. You can also point out at the strengths that are there or the favorable aspects of the subject. So to criticize is not just the negative aspect. Okay, it means you look at the weaknesses as well as the favorable aspects in detail and provide a balanced answer. Okay, yeah. Now, you can see other task words: critically evaluate, define, describe, discuss. These are very common ones used there. To critically evaluate means to weigh arguments for and against and assess the strength of the evidence which are provided there. To define means give the exact meaning. You must show that you understand the definition. Okay, so you need to give the exact meaning. Then when they say describe, it means you have to provide a detailed explanation, how and why something has happened or happens in that manner. When they say discuss, to discuss means to look into the debate. You give the reasons for and the reasons against. That's what to discuss means. Reasons for and reasons against. Then you have words. Sometimes the words look big, like elucidate. It simply just means make a clear understanding. Elucidate. Just help me to understand this. Enumerate means you make a list. You specify the list, you provide the list and the main features of the subject you are talking about. Evaluate means to assess and to give judgment about the merit which you are talking about, the importance and usefulness of something, using the evidence to support that argument. So you must assess, make a judgment. Then using evidence if you support that argument. When they say examine, it just means look closely, look carefully here. And then you make a description. When they say explain, it means make clear why something is happening that way, or account for what is happening, or you give reasons why things are happening that way. When they say explore, means to examine thoroughly. You look at it from different points of view. Okay, when they say explain, interpret, it means to explain what is meant and relate it to the main topic. There are other task words. Illustrate means make something clear using examples. To justify means give the evidence to support the argument. Give the evidence to support that. Why was the decision made that way? Or why was the conclusion made that way? When they say outline, to outline is simply just to give the main points or the features or the general principles. You show the main structure and the interrelationship. Don't talk about the details. Okay? When they say state, it simply means give the main features just briefly, but very clear. When they say summarize, it means just give the main points only. Don't talk about the details and don't give examples, just give the main points only. When they say to what extent what you are writing here is how far is something that you are writing about true? Okay, consider also ways that it may not also be untrue. There are other task words. List, simply write a list in bullet form. We provide details in bullet form. When they say proof, it means you write to demonstrate with a logical argument. To prove, you must demonstrate with the logical argument that is acceptable. Then when say relate, it means look at the connections or the associations with the others. When they say review, to review is to make a critical analysis. It's the same way, to make a critical analysis. Then to identify, if there are several aspects that have been given, then you have to identify something. It means you have to choose one that is relevant. You explain why it is relevant out of the many that are given or that are known. When they say with reference to, make sure you include what is being referred to in the subject you are writing. So when they say give an account of, it simply means to describe. Okay, when they say tabulate, it means you have to write in a tabular form with rows as well as columns. So you provide the information in the form of table, okay, rows and the columns. When they say write facts, it means you provide evidence. You provide evidence to what you are writing. So that's about the task words. Examinations require that you prepare, not just in the last hour, but at the beginning, right from the beginning until the exams. If you don't prepare, exams can be difficult. The grade you get at the end of the day depends largely on how much you prepare. The advice given to you will help you get the best grade that you wish. Exams aren't difficult. Best wishes and God bless.